Welcome to Making the Magic, a podcast chatting about all things Disney, Universal and beyond. This week we're talking about our must-do rides and attractions at Universal Studios at Universal Orlando, so stay tuned to find out if we're loving Escape to Gringotts or Rip Ride Rockit. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Martin. Now, I must say that I really do like going to Universal. It's different to Disney, and a lot of people do say, should I go to Universal if I'm going to Disney? And for me, I'd always say yes. The rides are kind of skewed more towards sort of older kids. So if you've got really small kids, maybe not as much to do in these parks as it is to do in Disney. But if you like thrill rides like me, and of course Amanda, who loves thrill rides, she loves roller coasters, then this is a fantastic park. So I'm quite interested to see what you're going to put down, Amanda.
Yeah, but there are things for little kids as well, aren't there? There's the Woody Woodpecker area. There's lots of shows that young kids would like. So yeah, there's a real mix of things. I always think I'm perhaps more of a Disney than a Universal person, although I do really love going to Universal. But when I started thinking about, what are my top 5 must-do attractions, it was harder than I thought. I was like, there's that. Oh, and that should go on the list. So trying to get it down to the 5 was a lot harder than I thought it would be.
I used to have an annual pass for Universal Orlando, so I've been there quite a lot of times. And it is different to Disney, and I really can't wait to see what's on your list. So should we crack on?
Same here. So let's crack on. So just say, we've challenged each other to come up with our top 5 must-do attractions, and these are our must-dos. So they're our personal opinion of what we like to do, rather than what necessarily are the best rides or what we'd recommend that you go and do. If we're giving you advice, we'd have a chat with you and find out about your family and the kinds of things you do. So you could have a very different list. And we haven't compared notes in advance, so we might have some of the same things. Not sure that we will. We'll see. And as well as choosing our top 5, we've made a little note of what we think the other person has said to. So let's see if we get it right.
Yeah, okay, right. Do you want to go ahead and go first?
I will go first then. And the ride that I've chosen, it's right as you go into Universal Studios, just on the left there. It's Despicable Me, Minion Mayhem.
I think I've only been on this once or twice.
No.
It always has quite a long queue.
Yeah.
It's quite a slow loading attraction, and there's only one room for it to be held in. So it's not like sort of Star Tours where there's 6 of them. There's only one. So it is kind of a bit slower. I really like the queue, though. It's really well done.
It's a great queue area. I mean, the outside bit, not so much fun. And this is one, because it's right as you go in, it's very visible, particularly the first half of the day. It does have very, very long lines. This is where you're going to appreciate having your express pass if you're staying in one of the deluxe hotels at Universal, or even any of the on-site Universal hotels. This is normally one of the rides that's open when they open the parks early for all hotel guests. So if you're taking our advice and you're staying in a Universal hotel, then hopefully you won't have too long a wait for it. But as you say, do the outside queue area, then you're inside to the first bit of the pre-show, and you're into Gru's house. So much to look at. I mean, you can be waiting in here a little while, so it's a good job that there's plenty to look at, but see all the amazing furniture from his house. There's lots of pictures on the wall as his family tree. So really, really interesting room to have a look around.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Lots of little Easter eggs from the film, and it is kind of worth sort of taking your time and having a little look. The pre-show video is also very funny as well, isn't it?
It is. So the story of the ride, if you like, is you're going in, you're turned into a minion, and they're going to do some tests on you. But like all the best rides, something goes wrong. Then on your rescue mission, you go into the next room, which is the ride portion of the overall ride. So after that pre-show area, you go into the main ride, and this is a simulator. So your seat is going to move, and you're going to have the screen in front of you. Now, this is a bit of a problem I have with Universal, because a lot of the rides are like this, and I'm not great with these simulators, but this one I find absolutely fine. It's very realistic. You do feel like you're racing along. You're sort of going up and down, and feels very roller coaster-like, even though you're just still sat on your bench. And there is some stationary seating, so if you are very prone to motion sickness and you don't like that, or if children are under the height requirement for the ride, then you can choose that stationary seating. So you can enjoy it all, but you're just not going to be moving around so much.
Yeah,
or at
that is
all.
really good of Universal, isn't it, to be able to provide a stationary option for people who do have motion sickness or kids that are too short. Because imagine you're a little kid and you really like the Minions, but you're just slightly too short to be able to go on it. You're still going to be able to go on the ride. You're just not going to move around. Or, if it was me, I would just move the child from side to side, make it feel like you
Yes. Yes.
push them from side to side, like you're moving around the
Yeah.
ride. Yeah.
I mean, it's quite a short ride. And like we said, it does get these really long lines. So unless you've got your express passes or your early entry, then I would try and, go there as soon as it opens or maybe later on at night because, sometimes it can have like an hour, even 2 hour lines. And it's a great ride, but I don't think anything really is worth that longer wait.
No. And then when you finish, now they do sort of change the characters because you go throughout out to the back and then you can sometimes meet the characters.
You do. So nearly every time I've been, you go out and there's a bit of a disco area going on and you can have a little dance with the Minions. You can have your photo taken with them. So that's a really good opportunity to meet the Minions. And then, of course, after that, you are into the gift shop. What ride doesn't end in a gift shop? And my very favourite thing here is there's the unicorn. Agnes's unicorn is here and available to buy. You don't have to participate in any very complicated fairground game to win the unicorn. You can actually just go and purchase it. And of course, it is so fluffy.
Oh, yeah, they are extremely fluffy. I'm sure the people who work in there, the team members, never hear that ever.
Yeah, I think there's T-shirts with it so fluffy on. Yeah, you've got the whole thing going on there. Lots of nice merchandise in that shop, actually. It is a nice store.
And it doesn't get too busy as well. I don't think that many people go into it unless they've been on the ride. So I think it doesn't get crowded where some of the other shops might get a little bit crowded. And it's quite big as well for a gift shop at the end of an attraction.
Yeah, so it spills everybody out. But I think because you've got that kind of the little disco area with the photo opportunity with the Minions, it's not like everybody is flooding into the shop at the same time. So it's not too crowded. But I think that should be on everybody's must-do list. It's on my must-do list. And you have to make sure it's on yours next time you're there as well. So I presume that wasn't on your list then.
No, it wasn't on my list. But I'm going to stick near the front of the park. In fact, actually, this one actually goes slightly outside of what used to be the boundary of the park. So can you guess which one it is?
Could it be Rip Ride Rockit by any chance?
It is Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit. Yes, yeah. I remember going on this when it first opened, and it was really, really cool because you go up vertically. So it's not like the normal lift hill where you're going to go up at an angle. You're going up at 180 degrees, and then you go over the top and you go in slightly and then go down. And it's quite a fast ride. The main part of this ride is that you can choose the music that you're going to rock out on there as well. So there's lots of sort of different choices of music. So you've got everything from sort of like hip hop and R&B and dance to older stuff, country and western as well. So you probably pretty much most tastes are covered for. I don't think there's any classical music. So if you're a fan of Beethoven, then I'm afraid you're not going to get anything on there. But pretty much all other tastes are going to be covered. I remember going on it for the first time, and the seat in the carriages, they're in blocks of 4, 2 seats and then 2 seats. And the seats in the front are slightly lower down. The seats at the back of that particular part of the carriage are slightly higher up, so everyone kind of still gets a view. So they call it stadium seating. So you still get a really kind of good view of going around and flying over by the New York sort of section. It's quite cleverly put in because there wasn't that much space left to do it. So they've kind of had to build it so it goes over what they've already got there. So as a footprint, it's actually kind of quite small. It looks like you're doing a loop, but you're not. You kind of do twist back up at the top, and it looks a bit like a musical note. It's a lap bar restraint, and it can be a bit snug. It's the one where you don't feel like you're going to fall out or anything like that, but it can sort of like hold you in a little bit too much compared to some of the other ones. One thing to note is as you're getting onto the roller coaster, the train carries on. It keeps on going. If you've been on Crush's coaster in Paris, it's similar to that. The train doesn't stop, load, and then go. It's continuously moving. So if someone's coming in and they don't have great mobility, then they'd need to stop it. But majority of the time, you're required to sort of get on it as it's kind of still moving. So just something to kind of be aware of for those who are kind of looking at going, is it not going to stop and everything? So
no, it's not.
no, it's not. Like all the roller coasters at Universal, you have to take absolutely everything out of your pockets and put them into the lockers. Okay, so as you go in, you go and find the locker, you put them on there, you will get free time that's around the same sort of time as the length of the queue. So don't use it I did this once, and we were like, oh well, we've had our time, or actually we were back a bit kind of quicker. Let's go on it again because there wasn't much of a queue, and then we came back and we'd gone over the time, so we had to pay for the extra time that we had. So make sure if you do that, unlock it back up again, just kind of go around. They're really sort of safe and secure. You can fit everything in. You need usually your park ticket to open up the thing again, so you will need to kind of keep that somewhere on you as well. So really great ride. It does video you from there as well, so it's a bit different to just having an on-ride photo, as you can actually watch yourself screaming as you're hurtling around.
As you might imagine, this isn't on my list. I think it looks the most horrific ride. The fact it goes up such that steep angle going up vertically just looks horrendous. It's really high. You can't avoid seeing it in the park, because you say because there wasn't that much room. It's all outdoors, so you can definitely see it. So if you've got roller coaster fans, then they're definitely going to want to go on it, aren't they? But it looks quite extreme to me. I haven't ever been on it. I don't really want to go on it. It's just not my thing.
You see, you don't even have to sit and hold the bags because there's lockers. You can go and do something else. You can go and wander around the shop or something like that.
Yeah. There's plenty of things that I like to do that are not going on that. But one of the things I do know, though, from my family going on it is, as well as the tracks that you can see to pick there's a little secret menu of tracks, aren't there?
Yes, there is. So there's a secret menu that you can access, and you can tap in, and then you can kind of find the songs that are not readily available to everyone else. So I think I used to listen to when it was my mum, because you can have different music for the different people in the car. You don't all have to listen to the same thing. So I think when we took my mum on it, she put on "I Will Survive," and I can't remember what. I think I listened to Kanye West. I think was one of the ones that I listened to. But there's so many. I have no idea
what they chose. Something very loud and rocky, I'm sure. No idea.
Yeah, that's the idea, to rock out on that one. Well, that's not on your list. So what's next on your list?
Okay, so I'm thinking we may have this one, both of us, is Men in Black.
Oh, we do both have this.
Yeah, Men in Black, Alien Attack. So you might be quite surprised it's on my list. It's another motion simulation ride, but it also does move. And the story here is you're going into sort of an exhibition and there's this training simulation that you can go and kill aliens. But before you know it, there's a real invasion and you've got to use your zapper in the vehicles to kill all the aliens. So it's a bit like Buzz Lightyear on acid, isn't it? I mean, this is not Buzz Lightyear. Yeah. You're spinning a lot and there's an awful lot going on. Really great fun. I do like this ride.
If you've been on Buzz Lightyear and you like Buzz Lightyear, then this is the supersized version of that. I mean, I really like the way it starts. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek with you go into a World's Fair. It's obviously a bit of a dig at Disney when they went to the World's Fair, and then you go through into the pre-show kind of stops, and then it says, you get Agent Z comes on, and he's all sorry about all this phony baloney theme park nonsense, and try out to see if you've got it where it takes to be an MIB agent. Then you go through into a lift. Now, one of the things that I really love is the team members that work on this attraction really kind of get into it. I had one where they let you into the lift, and then she said, I'm going to race down the stairs to come and meet you. So you go into the lift and then you go down, and then as the doors open, she stands in there and she's just kind of all panting out of breath and go, that was there's a long stairs. It's not actually a real lift. You're not actually going anywhere. She's going, panting, and then it's kind of letting everyone through. And then, there's been times where someone said something to her and she's neuralized them and everything like that. And they really get into the whole MIB kind of universe as well. So it's a really kind of great ride. The queuing's really good as well, because you go over the bit where you see in the film where you look down and it's like the control station where they're sort of monitoring all the aliens on Earth, and you get stuff coming up on there. And then you go and see the different kind of guns as well. And then obviously you get onto the ride, and it's such a great ride. Yes, it does spin a little bit. It's not spinning all the time, but yeah, you can spin.
It's quite spinny.
Yeah, a bit more spinny than Buzz Lightyear, but yeah, it's actually the same ride vehicle as the Cat in the Hat over in Islands of Adventure. It's exactly the same, but just sort of like redesigned. And then you're going along, and as you said, you're meant to be on this training mission, and then suddenly a real alien attack happens in New York, and you were sent out. So you switch from training mode and you're on to real life mode. And you got to zap all the different ones. There's a few hidden Easter eggs. Steven Spielberg was one of the executive producers on the ride, and he is there sitting on a park bench, and it's actually an alien who's using a Steven Spielberg mask to hide themselves. So next time you go on it, look at park bench, and he's wearing like a trench coat. Well done. There's so many hidden little bits and bobs that are in there. You can see the little dog as well. He's in there as well.
Yes,
yeah. With Buzz Lightyear, there's targets everywhere. Okay. With this one, they didn't want to have actual targets because you're going to go out into the real world. So, the idea is you get more points for shooting and aiming at the head than you do for sort of like getting the body. So you aim for the head. That's where you're going to get all your points from. So, and there's unlimited ammo. Just keep firing, basically. There always one bit where you're against the team on the other side, and you've got to shoot the little flashing bit at the top, and then yes, you do spin round, and then of course the big climax at the end, you see this huge alien, don't you? And obviously you've got to try and shoot him. But what do you have to do, Amanda, to get those extra points?
Got to push your big red button.
Press the red button. Boy, you're told at the beginning, do not press the big red button. There's only one thing to do, and that's press the big red button. And that's where, you do spin, and there's smoke around you, and you get really disorientated. And I'm sure that's probably the bit you don't like.
Yeah. I mean, normally I don't like spinning rides, but I do like Men in Black. And I think it's just fun. I mean, there is a height requirement, so it's not for very little children. But although it's shooting things, it's dark, it's loud, I don't think any kids would be particularly scared by it. It is just a fun ride.
Whether you've seen the movie or not, I think you kind of get the gist of it. I think most people, even if they haven't seen the films, they understand kind of the idea of Men in Black. Yeah, you're going in and you kind of get the idea of this all aliens and things like that. But yeah, really good. If I was a team member working in the store afterwards, I think I wouldn't be able to listen to anything apart from the Men in Black theme tune because it's just constantly on. Again, there's free lockers for this one because you do spin, so you shouldn't really take any bags on or anything kind of loose in your pockets as well because it could potentially spin out. So really kind of cool bit at the end is Will Smith is then going to come up and then going to grade you. They've got the 3 different kind of levels. So Amanda, were you bug bait?
Yeah, probably. I think I was, not super good.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. That's okay. I mean, I do find it harder to score points on this one than Buzz Lightyear because you don't have an actual target. You're kind of just trying to find it. My sister seems to be able to find the most points, and you do get a lot of points for hitting that button first as well. So you've got to make sure your finger's on it and you're just poised and ready to, when it lights up, just press that button and get them.
Yeah, I think as they would say, I zigged when I should have zagged.
Yeah, he's zagged. Very, very true. And then unfortunately, if you are kind of not good enough, then you are going to get neuralized and you're not going to be able to remember it.
And do you know about the secret immigration tour that you can do on Men in Black?
Yes, I've heard about this. I've never done it, but
I've never done it either. It's one of those things I kind of know about, and then I never think about it when I'm there.
Yeah.
But you do see people because, as you said, when you're in the queue area and you're up above and you're looking down on the aliens in the kind of the control center in the immigration area, and you do sometimes see people down there, and that's what they're doing. They're having that little tour, and it's completely free, and you just have to ask the ride attendants there if you can do it, and if they have got sufficient staff, they will let you. Not operating it at the moment due to COVID, but I'm sure it will be back. But it is one of those things that's not very widely known, and I'm sure would be a really cool thing to go and do. You can take some photos, you can even sign in on the book.
Great kind of world building that they've done, because you really do feel like you're in part of the whole MIB kind of universe when you're in there. So by doing that as well, I think that's something I need to do next time I go over, is go and do this immigration tour. Yeah,
I think you get so helped, don't you, on just getting the rides and ticking the rides off. Maybe don't do these little extras. And I think people really go for, Disney's so big on the theming and the backstory and all the rest of it. But there's a lot of the Universal attractions that go into the detail as well. And say you've got secret things with secret tracks on Rip Ride Rockit, these secret tours on Men in Black. So there is a lot more there if you want to do your research and find out all these little secret things to do.
What's your third choice then? We both have the same second choice.
Right, well, I've cheated a little bit here. Because
I can guess what you're going to say.
This is kind of an attraction, but it's kind of like bigger than one thing. So it's Diagon Alley.
Yeah,
So, which is the part of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which spans both of the parks. So it's the Diagon Alley part of it that is in Universal Studios. This was the second part of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. So there is a ride in here, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to talk about all the other things because anywhere I love people watching and just looking around. But I think here there is so much to see, so much detail, all the shops. It really does feel like you're in Diagon Alley in that Harry Potter world. Outside of it, you've got the bus, go into sort of the secret entrance to get in, and then, you're in Diagon Alley. There's, all the shops and things there. I really like going into Nocturne Alley, which is super spooky. And just the music they have and just all the kind of the posters that are on the wall. Going into the shops, I mean, some of them are proper gift shops where you can buy things. Some are more, you're just having a look around. And then they have 2 stage shows as well that you can see. There's the Tales of Beedle the Bard, which is the famous story. They do it with them puppets, the 3 brothers from the Deathly Hallows. And then they also have a musical show, I think is really fun too. So I think, again, they're the sort of side things that you perhaps would miss if you're just doing ride. But really, I think you should spend a good amount of time in Diagon Alley if you can.
First time I went to Diagon Alley, I'd only seen the first 2 Harry Potter films when I went, and I knew I was coming back a couple of months later. So I then binged all the different films and went through them. And there's so much detail that's in there. You honestly do believe that you are within that world. And you said, like, Nocturne Alley, it's a bit spooky down there, isn't it? And maybe little kids might not want to walk down there. Have you seen the people with the wands?
Yes. So that was, as I say, the interactive wands and the spell casting locations. So you can go and buy your interactive wand from Ollivanders, and then you can go around the Diagon Alley area, and there are places where you can interact and cast your spells. And you see so many people going around doing that. I haven't actually done it, but it looks really, really good fun.
Things you can kind of make, like the signs move, you can make water come down certain places, everything. It's such a clever thing. I think Harry Potter is just ripe to build a world around it. I don't think there's probably any other movie that I can think of that's got as much kind of richness that you can build a world around it that much, because you've got all the food that's in there as well. It's not just the fact that these places, but you've got the food, so you can go and get butterbeer. When I go to Universal, I generally eat in the 2 Harry Potter lands probably more than anywhere else in the quick service things. It's quite good food actually for a theme park. And I think the fact that it's not just burger and fries or pizza, and that you can't just get, there's no sort of outside brand name, so there's no Coca-Cola products in there. I really love the pumpkin juice. That's the thing that I always go for. And of course you can have butterbeer as well. So have you had the butterbeer in there?
I have. I like the frozen butterbeer.
Oh,
especially
yeah.
On a very hot Orlando day, the frozen butterbeer is very good.
Yeah, I think that's one of the first things you have to have. Maybe not before going on the ride, but you definitely have to have a butterbeer. I had butterbeer ice cream last time I went. That was really nice as well. I had that as one of my snack credits on my quick service dining plan that I had. So that was really nice. But it's just the whole world building. You feel that you're there within this entire world. There's a bit of a covered area as well, isn't there? But it's kind of quite high up. So when it does, when it's 3:00 in Orlando, it generally will rain, so there is a nice covered area. So you're meant to be in London, it's not going to always be so when it does rain, it's slightly more authentic, but you don't need to have that sunshine coming down on you, because you are meant to be in Diagon Alley where it's not particularly sunny generally. So it does kind of add to that kind of thing, and it is a contrast when you've gone from the blazing sunshine outside to going through into this new world. And it does feel darker in here. It does feel a bit damper. It does feel like you're in London. But just outside as well, you've got the night bus. That's really cool. You've got the phone box as well. Apparently you can type in some numbers and people will talk back to you on the phone box. On the houses to the side as you go down, if you hang around long enough, there's an elf that pops out of a window.
Yes, you can see a house elf, popping out in the house.
Yeah. So,
and then you've got the entrance to King's Cross Station, where you can go and get the Hogwarts Express across to the other park. One of my very favourite things, we've been to Universal a lot with my kids, and we went to King's Cross in London, and my daughter, this looks really like Universal, doesn't it? Well, I think it's the other way around, really. Yeah, so it is very authentic.
It is very authentic. I mean, you can even have a meal deal, kind of like a sandwich and a packet of crisps to take on the train with you as well. You can go and get those halfway around. And I think it's Golden Wonder crisps, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen those. But
have you not seen them? Yeah.
No, but the train, I mean, we'll perhaps talk about that again, but that really took me back to trains when I was younger, just the fabric on the seats, the little carriages is so well done. It didn't actually take that long from them announcing it to opening it. I mean, you think about Disney, sometimes they announce things and then 7 years later, you're still waiting for it. Whereas this actually didn't take that long from them deciding they were going to do it to open. The only bad thing about it, of course, is we lost one of my favourite rides then, Jaws, because it's built over that location there.
When I went to Universal Japan, they still got the Jaws ride.
Yeah.
So I think I went on that about 8 times because obviously you can't do it in Orlando anymore. So I was, there's Jaws here. I love Jaws. And even though it was all in Japanese, I could obviously kind of guess what was going on. This is sharp.
I'd probably rather have the Harry Potter stuff, if I'm honest. It definitely makes some time to go and have a look around Diagon Alley. Not just the ride, go and do all the other stuff as well.
Well, I might as well do my next choice, which is the ride, which is Escape for Gringotts.
Oh, it's like we've rehearsed it, which we haven't.
I'd only seen the bits of the film before I went on the ride, so I didn't kind of quite understand. I was going, okay, why are these elfy kind of things running a bank? Why are we going in a lift? What's that? I thought that's not Ron Weasley, but it looks a bit like him. I assume it's a brother. Why is he in a bank? What's all this got to do with anything? And I didn't quite understand what was going on. Why is Helena Bonham Carter? What's she got to do with any of this?
I can't believe you hadn't seen all the.
I know. It was one of those things that I'd seen the first two. And then I was living in France when I think a couple of them came out, and I just never got around to kind of seeing them, and never got around to seeing them when I got back. It's really, I've seen them now.
Have you not read the books?
No, I've never read the books. So now I've seen all the films, and I've seen quite a few times, and I've got friends who were actually in the film. They were extras and things, and actors in the film. I know a lot more about it now. So when I went back the next time to go on it, I could understand it and appreciate, he's a Weasley. Okay, that's what Warwick Davis is. Okay. It's a story roller coaster. So it is a roller coaster, but it's not kind of like a fast roller coaster. It's not the Hulk. It's not Rip Ride Rockit. It's a story roller coaster. So the carts will actually move in these mining carts. They will actually go from side to side to show you the different kind of parts where you're actually going to, where they want you to actually look at. So you're not just looking forward all the time. With Universal, it's screens everywhere. But there's a lot of kind of physical effects that are in there as well. You've been on this.
I haven't. I don't know how I can admit that, because I absolutely love Harry Potter.
It's not as scary as there's hardly you don't go that fast. It's not particularly kind of scary. It's more about putting you in the kind of the world. Think of a souped up version of a dark ride. That's more what it's like as opposed to a roller coaster. There's not really any roller coastery kind of bits in it. It just uses a roller coaster track to get you around.
Yeah. No, my family, they've all been on it, and I can't really remember why I didn't go, but I do remember they went on it. It broke down just before they were about to go, and so I was expecting them to be off in like 20 minutes or something, and then like 2.5 hours later they still hadn't reappeared. Right. Yeah. And apparently they got stuck in the bank teller part of it, which they thought is incredible to look at for the first kind of 20 minutes, but 2 hours on, not so much, but they've been on it since, and they did really enjoy it. And of course, if outside of the ride is very impressive as well, isn't it? Because you've got the bank, but then on top of the bank, you've got the dragon who breathes fire every few minutes. Yeah, every few minutes you've got that. And then I think you see a lot of people hanging around trying to get that perfect photo or video of the fire I've done
coming
that,
out of the dragon. I think we've all done that, Amanda. I think Universal's very good at building these worlds that get these photo opportunities in and want you hanging around to do that. And I think that's wonderful. If you don't get that photo, have you really been to Universal Orlando? Yeah, no, there are a lot of good photo opportunities in Diagon Alley and just outside in that London area as well. So I think Escape from Gringotts has got to be on everybody's must-do list and visiting Diagon Alley. Definitely. Even if you've never seen the films or anything like that, you'll just appreciate just being in a big world.
Yeah, but who hasn't seen the films? Go and see the films.
There's
Read the
probably about
books.
8 people in the world that never seen it.
I know. I'm always a
Like
bit
me.
suspicious of people who haven't watched Harry Potter or haven't seen Star Wars. They're my two tests of people.
Imagine someone who hasn't watched either.
I think I do know people that yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on, what's your next choice?
Right. Well, you're not going to be surprised at this because I do talk about this quite a lot. So one of my very favourite
The American
things
Adventure
at
in
Universal
Epcot.
Studios. It's not that. Wrong park.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's,
Wrong
and it's
park,
not sort
okay.
of similar, but it's a show. And that is the Horror Makeup Show.
Yes.
I absolutely love this. So, yeah, it's a horror makeup show, and it is a show about prosthetics and makeup in horror films throughout the ages, which sounds dire, doesn't it? But this is a comedy show. Have you seen it?
Yeah. I'd only seen it, I think, twice. I don't know why, but I've kind of always just never been in it. I'm quite sort of squeamish, don't really like horror. So I kind of always have this thing of, it's going to be gruesome or it's going to be kind of...
It's not, though, is it, really?
It's not. But I kind of always... it's like I don't like the Halloween mazes. We've done Halloween Horror Nights before, and I've stayed out. I haven't done any of the mazes. I've gone the actual rides, but yeah, I don't go for the mazes.
Yeah, no, this is not like that. I mean, there are a few like bits of fake blood and some short clips from horror films, but it is very much a comedy show. So in the entrance area, there are lots of props from horror movies that you can look at, and it does feel like the entrance to an old cinema. There is very good in this show. You can use your express pass here as well, and they'll let you in first. It does sometimes get to capacity, this show, if the park's busy, but if you do have your express pass, you can go in a special line. You normally end up on the front row. You may not want to be on the front row because they do like a bit of audience participation. Yeah, quite a few times I've been with people. I haven't ever been sort of pulled up onto the stage or anything, but last time I went, somebody I was with did, and I'm not sure they really appreciated it. But so yeah, you can get picked on for audience participation. But yeah, just a very funny show. Again, things don't all go to plan. Something goes slightly wrong, but all just very light-hearted and comedy. But a bit of interesting facts as well about the history of horror films and the makeup that was used too. So yeah, it's a little bit informative too.
Yeah, you do actually learn. I mean, the original idea of this and what was then MGM Studios was you were meant to be visiting a real working film and TV studio. So you were then learning about how they did this kind of stuff. So to do the horror makeup show, you're actually learning about what they actually do in Hollywood and how they actually sort of achieve these kind of effects. I mean, Universal still have sound stages, so they do film. I think they film wrestling down there, and the sound stage is behind Rip Rockit, and they do have a couple of other things, but it's not quite as about being behind the scenes of films as it used to be. But this is kind of something that kind of sort of harps back to the original idea of the park, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. It's and if nothing else, it's a nice sit down in air conditioning.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's always a great thing to do. I think it's a nice place to go and sit down, bit of air conditioning. You can kind of put your feet up for a little bit, enjoy a really great show, really well done. I think the people that are in it, the team members that are in this show, really enjoy being in this show. And I think that kind of comes across, doesn't it?
It really does. And it is a slightly different show every time. So although they've got the script and the kinds of things that they normally follow, because they have audience participation, it does depend on who's in the audience and how they play off them and how they react. I have been known to go and see it more than once in one day, because the time I did go and see it more than once in one day, they switched the characters around. So the actors, comedians might be playing one character in one show and then a different one in another. So that gives you a bit of a different experience too. But I would highly recommend it. It's not that long a show, and yeah, I think you definitely would come out laughing.
Really great show, yeah. And it's nice because a lot of the time when you go on rides and things, they're not designed to make you laugh, are they? Nothing's really kind of designed to make you laugh. Maybe the Minions, but yeah, you do come out of it and you do have a good laugh, I think.
No, it's good fun. So what was your next one then?
So I'm a little bit round the corner, and I'm going for an older attraction as well. So I'm up to, if you leave there and then go off to the right a little bit, and mine's the E.T. Adventure.
I have this too.
Oh, I thought you might have this one. I think a lot of the time when younger people go and they go, "What's E.T.?" They haven't sort of seen the film. And my joke is, in France, it's called And. It's my little French joke there.
Yes.
It's not. And what's really cool about this one is, as you go in, you have to give your name, and you're wondering why you got to give your name. They give you a passport to go onto it. You get your intergalactic passport, and then it gets scanned when you go onto the attraction, and you're thinking, first time thinking, why have I done that? What's that got to do? But there is a really nice surprise at the end. Now, have you ever given a fake name before?
Always. You can't give your real name, can you? That's just not part of the ride. That's half the fun of it, is giving a fake name.
We've done Ken and Deirdre before, and other kind of like famous kind of couples, just to kind of like hear E.T. at the end just babble off these names. And we're laughing our heads off. The Americans that are also on it as well at the same time are like, why are they laughing? Why are they laughing at their own names?
There are really some names that are not on the list, though. We have come up with names where they're like, no, we don't have that name. So it does seem to be from a very long pre-selected list. So if you come up with something too obscure, then they may not have it.
Something a bit modern might not be on there. So, you need to have a slightly older, more traditional name, probably, I kind of guess.
Although this is on both our lists, it is a bit of a dated attraction now, isn't it? I think this is probably one of the original rides. And one of the reasons it's on my list is I just remember it from the first times that I went to Universal. Yeah. And at that point, you would expect very, very long lines for this ride. On busy days, you still do, but it isn't as much of a must-do ride as it once was.
No, it's nice when you go inside and you've got the forest as you're queuing up. It's kind of quite nice as well. You do kind of feel like you're in the film. And then it's a really cool ride vehicle. You're on a bike that flies. And, not many places you can do that. It's a bit more of a one-up from, say, Peter Pan's flight where you're in a boat. It's a bit bigger and you're on a bike that flies. It's kind of really cool. I'm not great with heights, but it's high enough off the floor that I'm not going to get vertigo or anything similar to that. The basic story is you've got to help E.T. get back to his home planet, and so you're going to fly. And then I like the bit where you go down and you bounce off the police car. Quite cool. It's kind of a bit interactive, and you got the police car comes out, and then you fly, and then you end up on E.T.'s home world because he's and Steven Spielberg explains this in the pre-show video. Is E.T.'s home world is dying, and they need his magic touch to bring it back to life, and you kind of see that it's kind of not quite great, and then obviously E.T. then brings it all back to life. So it's such a cute story as well. It's kind of like not designed to scare you or anything like that. It's kind of just cute and really kind of sweet and quite innocent, isn't it?
It is. You walk through initially the queue area in the forest, and it's just really, really nice. It is a bit dark, but not scary. And then you're off on your bike, escaping from all those the police cars and the Secret Service who are chasing after you. Before then, your bike takes off into the air and you're flying off with E.T. in the basket in the front. And just a really lovely ride. Yeah,
and then at the end, you can go and have a little photo opportunity, can't you? Go and have your photos.
Yeah.
Which is kind of quite nice.
Done that.
Yeah, we've all done that, haven't we?
Yeah, that's another one everybody's done. But I think it. As you say, perhaps younger kids won't have watched E.T. Don't think it really matters particularly whether you've seen the film or not, but it's nice, sweet ride.
Yeah, nice kind of sweet ride. It's kind of quite similar to a lot of the dark rides over at Disney, but probably a bit bigger. It is bigger than sort of Peter Pan's flight or the Pinocchio rides and things like that. So it's a really well done ride. Not sure how much longer it's going to be around, in all honesty. No. I think if Epic Universe wasn't being built, then maybe that space might be prime land to be converted into something else. Should we move on to our final one?
So that's me done. So what's your last one?
So my final one is over on the other side in the New York area.
Mm-hmm.
And originally this was Confrontation, which I never got to go on, which looked absolutely amazing.
I did go on that.
Oh, did you? Oh, I'm so jealous. Yeah. It looked so amazing. Did you smell the banana breath?
Absolutely. Yeah, very strong smell of bananas on that ride.
I'm really jealous because that's one of the ones that I just wish I'd been on to. It looks so epic. But unfortunately, it's no longer with us, and it was replaced with Revenge of the Mummy. The Mummy films area is kind of quite well done as well. It's quite funny as well. You got Brendan Fraser. You're meant to be. It's a bit weird because at one point you're on a tour of the set, and then suddenly you're there, and then you're getting on, and then there's also a bit where someone who's gone to go and get his cup of coffee, this will come up again later, who's working on the film, has then been captured by the mummy. So the curse is real. Have you been on this one, Amanda?
I have not been on this one.
Okay. It uses magnetic technology to move it around. So instead of kind of just being a drag and drop roller coaster where you kind of go up a hill and then go back down, that's what creates the force and the movement. This one actually they can start and stop it from any point with sort of magnets that are built into the track. So again, it kind of goes round and it can speed up and it can slow down. And you go in, and once you go around that corner, again, I'm not going to start to spoil it for you, but all this stuff just comes out at you.
I know what that stuff is.
Fire as well. No, there's fire that comes up. You've got these guards that pop up. Then you've got the mummy itself. You know, wow, I'm actually really in the mummy film. It's not just a roller coaster. It's kind of got a little bit of a loose theme attached to it. You got that, and then there's this other bits. I'm not going to spoil it, but there's other kind of bits that you don't expect on roller coasters, and then you get launched up. And then you go through the roller coaster. And then you get to a bit where, again, I don't want to spoil it, but you think you finished, but you haven't. And then have your kids told you about this bit, about the ceiling?
Yes.
Again, I mean, I used to work at a theme park. I know how much it costs to run these theme parks. The fact that they're setting fire to the ceiling every time a train goes around must be absolutely incredibly expensive to run this ride. So the roof then catches on fire because the mummy is enraged and just trying to get hold of you, and then you get sped out again. And then luckily you then make it back, and Brendan Fraser is there, and he would have been a lot happy if he had just got his cup of coffee, is what he says. He's just really annoyed because he'd sent off the assistant to go and get his cup of coffee, but the assistant, he doesn't know. The assistant has then been attacked by the mummy, and so he's still waiting for his cup of coffee. So really great ride. I've been on it so many times. In the queue, there's bits where you can press a button and it makes the people behind you, it scares them. So that's really fun to do as well. You really do kind of feel like you're inside this sort of temple, that you're in sort of like a Tutankhamun sort of pyramid with all the construction going on. Really well done. Great roller coaster. There's not huge dips or anything. It does go a little bit fast, but it's not too fast. So I think the scariest part of it is probably all the props and the sets as opposed to the actual roller coaster. If it was just the roller coaster itself, it's quite a tame roller coaster, but with added in with all the extra bits, it just makes an amazing experience. I've been on the one in Hollywood, and they are different. The one in Hollywood's a bit shorter, but it's also kind of got different things on it as well. But I really love going on both of those. It's such a great thing. It's my sister's favorite attraction at Universal, and we just go on it so many times. Not usually a particularly long queue for it because it is a bit older, so we just usually keep looping back. And it does have single rider as well, which is also a great thing. So you can sort of go on single rider, and single rider is usually pretty quick as well. And of course, Universal Express Pass. If you're staying on site, use your Express Pass and just keep going round and round and round. Again, you need to take everything out of your pockets and your bags, that kind of stuff, and put them into the lockers. And you get free lockers for the duration of your attraction as well.
And you've got another one of those photo opportunities that everybody's got outside that ride. You've got the Egyptians on the stilts, the characters out there usually that will come and have their photo taken with you.
Yeah, really kind of cool as well. So it kind of just adds to that kind of atmosphere as well of just being in New York. You're kind of at the theme kind of mixes in and gets a bit sort of mixed up after a while with the you're in New York at a rap party, but you're also at a museum, and suddenly you're there on set, and suddenly you're in Egypt, and so it does kind of get a bit mixed up. But just go with it. Really good attraction. Give it a go. I think actually, Amanda, you might be able to do this one.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I would. I don't really know why I haven't done this, but yeah, I'm sure I could be persuaded. As I did the Kong ride that was there before, which was absolutely fine. But yeah, I need to push myself a bit to some of these other rides. Yeah. I'm always in the horror makeup show. That's why.
Well, yeah, it's very true. Yeah. I have to drag you out of that.
So we've missed. There's quite a lot there that we've missed. I think of other things that nearly made it onto my list, and I thought might make it onto yours. So what did you guess for me then? What did you think? We'll see if I got it right.
I thought E.T. Adventure. I thought that was going to be on your list. I thought Despicable Me. I did think Shrek 4D might have crept onto it as well, but it is aging a little bit. So
it is. It's a fun show. I think it's funny that. And I got stuck on it once where in the ride your seat moves as if you're going through, and then it just kept moving. Like the story carried on and it just kept moving for a very long time. So that rather put me off.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But it is a really fun thing. And you can going to meet Donkey at the end, or even,
Yeah,
on
that's
the ride.
funny.
That is definitely worth
That's
doing.
funny, yeah. My sister's name is Jenny, and Jenny in Spanish is donkey. So as a joke, we always used to call her Donkey. So every time we go to Universal, we have to go and see Donkey and say, she's also called Donkey as well.
Yeah. No, it's a good show. The pre-show is really good. But yeah, no, I do like that one.
There's a lot of posters up which are based on Disney attractions and but in like the Lord Farquhar kind of esque kind of like horror versions of them instead. But yeah, it's kind of quite funny to go through and see all those kind of things. Again, not sure how much longer that's going to be around because it's a 4D show and they tend to not have a particularly long shelf life.
It's been there a long time now, that ride, hasn't it?
It has. I'm surprised it hasn't been swapped out for something else, but we'll see if it's going to get swapped out for a different attraction in the future. It's quite a big space. I know they've opened up the Secret Life of Pets, a proper dark ride in Hollywood, and that looks amazing. So that would be cool. That might come into it because Epic Universe is still quite a few years away. It's being completed, so they're going to need something to sort of keep attracting people. I mean, they've got a lot of things that are opening, and they are opening things at a fast rate at Universal. But I think the main part, the Universal Florida Park, needs something, doesn't it? It needs maybe an extra kind of thing. So maybe that will come in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, they've had quite a few new things, haven't they? They do keep refreshing, which I think is good. Really. And obviously the Harry Potter stuff in particular has been the big draw in the last few years.
Yeah.
So did you have Men in Black on kind of that you thought I would have that on my list?
I was having an R-ing because I wasn't sure if you'd like the spinning.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you'd like the spinning, so I put down Diagon Alley / Hogwarts Express on your list, and then I kind of tentatively put on Men in Black as well.
Okay, well, so I think I got most of yours right. I had Escape from Gringotts, Rip Ride Rockit. I knew you definitely have that on your list. Men in Black, I thought you would. I didn't guess E.T. I thought I was far too tame. I knew you'd have Revenge of the Mummy, but instead of E.T., I thought you might like the Simpsons ride.
To be honest, I prefer the queue to the actual ride. The queue's really funny. The ride's okay, but it's kind of a bit all over the place. Because Disney now own The Simpsons, and again, I'm not sure how long that's going to hang around for. I think they've got the contract. I remember reading it the other day. I think they got the contract till 2028 or about 2030. So it might be one of those things in a couple of years' time. Because it was Back to the Future originally. Did you go Back to the Future?
I did, yeah, many times. So
yeah, really like that.
I did. I didn't quite suffer with the motion sickness quite so much then as I do now. So I loved that ride. And again, back in the day, the queues for that were enormous.
Yeah. I think there's a few Easter eggs from Back to the Future in the queue line, and the queue's really. I quite like the queue. The queue's really funny. So the queue's actually better than I think it's funnier than the actual attraction.
But the whole Simpsons area is very, very well done. You got the DeLorean still there and the train from Back to the Future. So just as a bit of a throwback, you've got your photo opportunities there. But I do think they've done that Simpsons area very well with Moe's Tavern, and you can go inside and have a drink in there. I do think as well it is probably the hottest place on the planet. That bit is normally where I'm running out of steam. I think maybe I've walked around on a hot day. That's when I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm done now.
Have you seen the donuts? The size of the donuts?
Yes.
They are huge. I mean, that's a family of four kind of. So you could share that out quite easily. So the donuts. But it's one of those things you kind of have to do that when you go there. It's going to have one of those big, large lad donuts. Yeah, I think we ate in the. I think we had Cletus's chicken actually when we went. So I had that. Yeah, but I think you can get like Krusty Burgers and all the kind of foods. Again, The Simpsons has got a lot of kind of food-based things that they can pull out and put into these worlds. So it's really good from that sort of point of view. I was having an argument about putting in, I don't mind Transformers, but it's not as good. It's very similar as a ride vehicle to the Amazing Spider-Man in the other park, and that's a much better attraction. So it's kind of always, I don't particularly like the Transformers films. So it's a bit kind of loud and in your face for no actual reason. But again, I've done that one in Hollywood, and I've done that one over in Orlando. But it's another kind of screen-based attraction where you're kind of bumping around and moving around a lot. So, nice ride, but didn't quite make the top 5 list.
I have to say, going through the list, it's been probably a couple of years since I've been to Universal now, with the lockdown, not being able to travel. Last time I was in Orlando, I didn't go to Universal. So yeah, 2.5 years since I've been, and it did make me think I must go back. It's a fun park. I mean, I'm sure we'll come on and do another episode about Islands of Adventure and all the things there are to do there. But Universal Studios, the original park, yeah, definitely worth a visit.
Definitely. I think it's a change of pace and change of sort of style to what you're going to get in the Disney parks, and for the world sort of creation that they've done for Harry Potter. It's worth just going just for Harry Potter. I think you can kind of go there and you can do enough things, and if you're a fan of Harry Potter, you will go there just for that, and then all the other stuff is almost a bonus. Again, when you go, you need to find the rides and the attractions and the shows that are best for your family, and there's lots of little things as well. There's a good little Blues Brothers show as well. That's really kind of cool. And then if you speak to us, we can then talk to you and find out more about your family. Do they like roller coasters? Do they like shows? Those kind of things. Are they a fan of Harry Potter? And then we can work out and tell you what the best rides and attractions and shows for your family is going to be.
And if you've been to Universal Studios already, what are your top 5 attractions? And we'd love to find out. So come and find us on our Facebook page or Instagram, Fairytale Holidays, and let us know what you love about Universal Studios. So that's all for this week. We really hope you enjoyed the show and hearing about all the things we like to do at Universal. Please make sure you subscribe or you follow us so you don't miss any of our future episodes. And if you'd like the show, it'd be great if you could leave us a review. If you'd like to find out more about Fairytale Holidays and how you can book your next holiday with us, then visit our website. That's fairytaleholidays.co.uk, and you can find all the links in the show notes. So thanks for listening.
And have a magical day.